in the previous videos we have learned about functions in Kotlin. So before proceeding further, I would like you to solve the problem, this problem, which says that write a function which compares two numbers and return the maximum of two. So one way of doing this is using if-else statement and the control statements. So we don't know that for now. So what we will do is we will use a function max in kotlin.math.max library. So how to access this library and this function? So for accessing this library and this function, what we will do is we will import the library. So I'll use the keyword import and then write the name of the library, kotlin.math.max. Now the library is successfully imported. So what this max function does is it takes input of two integers and returns the maximum of the two. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and create a main function, and then outside the main function I'll just create a function and name it as maximum. Now what would be the input of this maximum function? The input must be two integers. So I'll name the integer 1 as a and the integer 2 as b. So I have provided two input to this maximum function. Now what would be the return type of this function? So the max function provides the maximum integer out of two integer, so the return type would also be an integer. Now I'll just use the max function, which is max of a comma b. Okay, so inside the main function I'll go ahead and print the maximum and maximum of 13 and 25. Okay, so when I run this program, what I will find is it prints the maximum of 13 and 25, which is 25. Okay, so Kotlin has many such libraries which would be used further, and it would make our task very easy. Instead of using long codes, I just used a library and its function, and it became very easy. Okay, so the code is compiling and it is starting. Okay, so I have run my previous code. Just a second, I'll run test.kt, and yeah, it prints 25, which is the maximum of 13 and 25. Okay, moving further, just I'll comment it out. Okay, moving further, in this video we are going to particularly focus on arrays. So arrays in Kotlin are mutable but have fixed sizes. So suppose I declared an array of let's say 4 elements. So it is going to be of 4 elements at every time. We cannot add or delete an element from it, although we can change any element from an array. So data structure that contains a group of elements mostly of same data type are arrays. Okay, so it is not a foundation that the elements must have same data type, but yeah, mostly the elements have the same data type, commonly used to organize data. So why are arrays used? Basically, when I have 20 integers, suppose, let's say, so I have to store 20 integers in one variable. So what I'll do is I'll create an array. So in that way the data is more organized. Now the string is a collection of characters, or we can say that it is an array of characters. Okay, so it is different characters and they are combined together, so it can be also called as an array of characters. So what is the syntax of creating an array? So just like we create any variable, we use the var or val keyword, and then we will give the name of array. And naming array is same as naming a function or a variable. Okay, then we will write the keyword array of, and we will specify the type if any, and then we will write the elements. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and create an array. So I'll write where array1, and I'll write the keyword array of. Now suppose I have to create an array of characters, so I'll provide the type char, and now I'll provide the elements. So I'll provide a, b, c, d, e. Okay, so we have now successfully created an array which contains 5 elements, and all the 5 are the letters A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so what if I have to create an array which contains a integer, a character, and a string, uh, and a boolean? So I'll just go ahead and create an array of all type, of all type. So I have named it, and I'll just use the function array of, and I'll just, so it contains an integer, and double, and boolean, character, and a string. So the variable array of all type is an array which contains an integer, and a float point number, a boolean, a character, and a string. Okay, so now we can successfully create any array. Moving forward, in Kotlin, once you declare any array, you can only change the content of the array and not the size, as I mentioned earlier. So the size of this is fixed until and unless I change the size from here. Okay, the size is fixed. I can change the elements of an array, however, but I cannot change the size of the array. Okay, so now let's just copy this code and just understand that. Okay, so the code says that there is a variable array1 that is an array of A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, and there is an array2 which is a value, and that is an array of E, F, G, H, and I. Okay, so when I do array1 is equals to array2, so array1 is a variable, and that can be reassigned. So that that is reassigned a value of array2, so that can be done. But this line shows an error. Why this line shows an error? Because array2 is an value, so we cannot reassign a value. Okay, so that's why it shows an error. Moving forward, so yeah, there is a value array2, and which contains the elements E, F, G, H, and I. So however, we cannot reassign the array2, we can change the elements of array2. This is a major point to note. Okay, so we have already understood array with different data types. Okay, so arrays are mutable but have fixed sizes, as I already said. And so what if I have to print any element of an array? So suppose I have to print the third element of array 1. So what I mean by third element is the first element, the A, is the 0th element. Okay, as we done the indexing in the string, similarly the indexing is done in the arrays. So when I have to print the third element of array 1, what I'll do is I'll just write array 1 and open a square bracket and write 3 here. And when I run this code, we can see that the third element of array 1 is printed. Okay, there is a problem. Okay, so when I run this program, we can see that the third element of array 1, so what happened here is I reassigned the array 1 as array 2. So the third element of array 2 is printed here. E is the 0th, F is the first, G is the second, and H is the third. So I'll just delete this code and again run this code. So I'll find the third element of array 1, that is D. Okay, so now what if I have to reassign the third element of array 2? So we will try it on array 2 because array 2 is a value. So I'll just type array 2. So I'll just reassign the 0th element of array 2 as a string reassigned. Now it shows an error. So what error does it show? That there is a type mismatch. So it was an character, and now we are reassigning it as a string. So that is not possible in Kotlin. So what I'll do is I'll just reassign it with a character, and now I'll print the first element of array, the 0th element of array 2. So now when I run this program, I can see that R is printed. So even in a value of an array, the element of an array can be reassigned even if it is a value, not a variable. Okay, so that's all for this video. Stay tuned for